Power, as we know, affects all and sundry. And today we're shifting the spotlight from Abuja, we're shifting the spotlight to the state. We are moving away from one size fits all approach to tailor made local power solutions. And this isn't just a policy conversation, this is a people conversation. Because when power reaches the state, it reaches the people. And when it reaches the people, it lights up homes, it lights up schools, and it lights up dreams.
The Energy Conference 2025, convened by Business Day, was a strategic policy intervention event focused on powering the states toward navigating Nigeria's decentralized electricity future. It brought together policymakers, regulators, investors, and advocates in the Nigeria's energy sector to explore actionable pathways for accelerating decentralized power solutions and driving inclusive state-led energy development across the country.
100% metering is possible, and we can do it in our lifetime. Once people are assured of the source of their revenue and they have line of sight to the revenue that we're talking about, more investment will flow in. Whatever it is that the discos are doing today as revenue, if it's properly enhanced and if they're also properly empowered, we project that you will see between 3 and 4 times that value coming on the market within the next 2 years.
The publisher of Business Day, Mr. Frank Iborun, delivered a thought-provoking welcome address speaking to the theme of the event.
If you ask generator sellers today what they think, I'm not sure they see the end to their business. If they don't see the end to their business, so what are we talking about? Are we dreaming? More and more generators are being imported. In fact, there are new businesses, there are new people who are setting up businesses today to import and sell generators. And you tell me that they are out of business in a year or two? Not sure. In 2014, there were 20 live power projects in Nigeria. They've all disappeared. Why? 20. Now, power project is not like buying a bicycle. It takes a lot of courage. And where you find the courage, you have to find some crazy people who are willing to put the money down.
As the event progressed, an informative keynote address was given by Mr. Biodun Ogunleye, the Honorable Commissioner for the Lagos State Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. He spoke on the sector's previous attempt at privatization, noting that it had not achieved the desired outcomes. He emphasized the Act of 2023, granting each state autonomy over its power systems, advocating for state-level regulation, the development of local power infrastructure, energy sovereignty, and the creation of a competitive energy market to attract investment and drive growth.
For decades, the Nigerian energy narrative has been dominated by a highly centralized model, a monopolistic national grid, a network and distribution system that is not designed to assure revenue, and business processes that makes privately owned companies look like government departments and without the impetus required for growth. This over-centralization left our state powerless in more ways than one, unable to intervene, unable to innovate, ultimately unable to guarantee reliable electricity for our homes, businesses within our state, and critical infrastructures within our geographic boundaries. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era, a turning point marked by the enactment of the Electricity Act of 2023, which now empowers states to develop, regulate their own electricity market. For the first time in Nigeria's history, states are no longer expected to be bystanders. We are now expected to be active architects of our own state's energy future.
Moving on, an industry presentation was given by Rabbi Jamal, the Group General Manager for JMG Limited.
Electricity obviously is the backbone of any modern society. Okay, and Nigeria does have a transmission and distribution problem, and even generation problem. There's lack of access to electricity. 40% of primary healthcare centers, for example, lack access to electricity, undermining the coverage and the quality of basic healthcare. Okay. There are a lot of challenges facing it. For example, I did my thesis on the challenges of the Nigeria's power sector in 2016. And it's unfortunate that today some of the same challenges still remain.
Following the presentation, an interactive Q&A session took place between the Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Biodun Ogunleye, and attendees. Participants raised questions and shared concerns about the regulations currently impacting and those that have previously affected their operations within the sector.
The first thing we're trying to do is to engage. We're trying to ensure that the changes we anticipate are not disruptive. Okay. And where there are disruptions, those disruptions are handled with care so that at the end of the day, all parties win at the end of the cycle. But the most important part of this winning is ensuring that the citizens of Lagos have the best deal from their electricity consumption. We look forward to the days when the states will truly take charge of the development in their various geographic area, and we expect that when that day comes, the various nucleus of development all over the nation will result into a massive global acceleration in capacity available, energy utilization, energy assets across the nation.
An engaging panel session headlined by distinguished thought leaders was a highlight of the conference.
The good thing about renewable energy is that it's scalable. So, and it's really an open-ended question what you just asked, because as the country develops and it becomes more urbanized, there'll be more need for power, and there'll be, as more data centers are being established and developed, more high-rise buildings, there'll be more and more need for power. But saying that, I think by the way solar power is progressing in the country and the amount of solar system being deployed, within a few years, I think we will see a major part of the energy mix being produced by solar. But in terms of full dependency on solar and full cutting off the grid, I think this is an open question, and it really depends on the urbanization rate of Nigeria and the development of Nigeria.
The first roundtable focused on investment opportunities in the power sector and how to boost the electricity market, highlighting the readiness of various states to welcome investors. The discussions also centered on the regulations, policies, and reforms needed to attract both local and foreign investment into the sector.
It's always an issue of capital. To get the meters, the wires requires capital. And for the capital to be attracted into the sector, it requires certain level of incentives and so on to be there. So the first thing to do is to create the right environment, the right incentives, and then you have people that will bring in the capital to buy the meters and invest in the wires to make the system or make the sector more viable. So I think that's the first step. I think that what we've had today is a starting point where the discussions, the commissioner was here, and I think everybody gets it. We're having a second wave of investments. The first wave was the acquisition done in 2030 of privatization. The next wave is the follow-up capital, and that follow-up capital has learned the lessons of the previous decade. And how do I make sure that I'm investing my capital, but I know where my capital is going to, and what kind of return I can get from that.
While the second panel session addressed state and federal roles, defining clear boundaries in Nigeria's electricity sector. Discussions centered on the Electricity Act and need for harmonization to ensure effective governance and implementation, and how regulatory frameworks are currently being managed within the states.
What we need to look at next is how are we driving adoption? Like the question I put to the Honorable Commissioner was, when we look at the Lagos electricity policy, where are we in implementation? We need to know timelines. in all of that, because there are different aspects of that policy that needs to trigger if we need to achieve a proper electricity for Lagos State. So where are we in the implementation, and also most importantly, how are we using AI? Because artificial intelligence can help us achieve much more. But where are we on that? How are we leveraging it? He mentioned, oh, we need data first. But I think it's more than that. Because with artificial intelligence, we can do a lot of things like, predicting ahead. There are a lot of intelligence. But is the sector AI ready in Lagos State? So all of those kind of areas, I think, we need to begin to look at. But it was a good event. I like that the commissioner was realistic in his response. He was trying to paint a factual reality and not some fiction, which I think is good. I think he understands the pain of where we are, but we need to be able to translate that to see how more people are able to get access to energy, how we're using renewables, solar, and what have you, all of those other alternatives. How is it working for us? I mean, we need to move more to action. Talking is good, but I think it's action. After this, I mean, how are we implementing? Where are we moving from this conversation to the next one for implementing? I think those are the areas I think we need to look at.
Some of the speakers and attendees present also shared key insights gained from the event.
We're generating 40 to 45,000 megawatts of power at any instant. If you listen, quietly, you would hear all the generators going on around here. That's not provided by government. Yes. So government's legacy is in the 4,000. So 92% of the electricity we consume in Nigeria, government has no involvement in it. So they've left already. However, their presence on the 4,000, can be an albatross if they continue to want to do things they can't afford, such as want to continue the subsidy. They've not been able to afford it. They can't afford it for good reasons. The practice that we have now of subsidy is something we started in the 70s when there was 80 to 90 million of us and we had a lot more oil. Now there's 240 million of us, 220 to 240 million. We can't afford it. We can't afford the schools. We can't afford the health. We can't afford the security. So government should not be spending money on things that only government can finance. Whereas, there is capacity around the world that is eager to come into Nigeria to invest in the private sector. And there's a lot of hope. If government can help us to get those things right, let's walk away from the tariff structure we have right now. It is silly. It is not working. It's letting us down. Let's work to a tariff structure that is consumption based, where people who, the more you consume, the more you pay. And therefore, people who don't have the means, to consume a lot, don't pay a lot. But once you are blessed or you have a business or an industry, you pay more. That number will still be significantly lower than what you're paying today. So that's what government should be helping us with.
One of the panelists had mentioned that the gateway for transformation in the industry, of course, is money, right? That's like something that we all have to go and think about, and basically focus on garnering investment, right? Capital investment. That's on one hand, and then the other thing will be that we're not as confused as we thought that we would be. The commissioner for licensing at NEC had mentioned that the area that seemed to be causing the whole of the brouhaha in the industry would be distribution, right? Every other thing as it relates to the national grid still stays with NEC. And while distribution is what states should really be looking at, rather than causing like an opera. So I mean, personally, I'm going to go and look at that second schedule to really find out what I really understand from it, so that we're clear with how we're advising clients.
It was an exciting and very engaging session. We had takes from private sector investors, from financiers, and also from the regulators, NERC and the Enugu State Electricity Regulatory Commission, including the opening speech by the Commissioner of Lagos State, Mr. Abiodun Ogunleye. So my takeaway generally is that the power sector is continually evolving. There are so many things to be done, and the words of the Commissioner of NERC, we shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes. We should strive to push the sector from where it is now to where we want it to be.
Closing the event, Business Day publisher Mr. Frank Ibogun thanked the speakers, sponsors, panelists, and guests for their participation. He urged support for future conferences and encouraged subscriptions to Business Day Television, their premium services, for exclusive energy sector and business content.